We have a roll call. Ms. Marsh?
Mayor Clea McCaw,
Present?
Tim Carolyn Humphrey,
Present.
Councilmember William Benning, Councilmember Gregory Johnson,
Present.
Councilmember Angelica Landry,
Present.
Councilmember Martin Mesmer,
Present.
Councilmember Mark Rodriguez.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Marsh. We'll go to item number 1. Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the agenda of the special city council meeting of February 20th, 2024 be approved.
I'll second that with an amendment
Yes, sir.
that we add the Pledge of Allegiance to our meeting this afternoon.
Pledge of allegiance to the meeting. Any discussions? All those in favor? All right. May you please stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Johnson, will you lead us in our pledge?
Please join me in the pledge to the flag of our republic. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey. Go to item number 2, our consent agenda. Councilman Mark Rodriguez, could you take it from Mr. Benning?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the consent agenda consisting of the minutes of the special meeting of January 6, 2024, work session minutes of January 6, 2024, regular city council meeting minutes of February 8, 2024, and resolution 2024-009, appointment of J. Wayne Lawson to the Tourism Commission, said term to expire April 30th, 2026, be approved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Aye. It is passed. And we'll adjourn out of the special meeting. Any other discussions? Seeing none, we are adjourned from the special meeting. All right. Now we're going to our council work session with our general plan. Mr. McLaughlin, good to see you, sir. It's in your hands.
Nice to see you. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So you've all been following the process through your liaison roles with the commissions and have seen various aspects of the plan taking shape. My presentation this afternoon is going to cover where we're at in the schedule, next steps, and what we learned through the community survey. Just starting with what is a general plan. It is designed to guide the community on its future actions. It presents a vision for the growth and redevelopment of the community. Attached by reference and incorporated within the general plan are the specific plans and studies that have been developed over the years that are still relevant today. Examples would be the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, the West Sierra Vista Redevelopment Plan, the forthcoming Stormwater Master Plan, and Wastewater Treatment Master Plan. Moreover, the general plan serves as a blueprint or a roadmap for the undeveloped portions of the city. The goals and strategies provide a course of action implementing the vision and serves as a foundation or backdrop for future strategic plans or capital improvement plans. In terms of legal significance, it is adopted by resolution. It serves as the official policy guide and the basis for our land development regulations that all site plan and building permit applications must meet. Moving on to the schedule, the current general plan was adopted a decade ago and sunsets this year. Under state law, the council must either readopt the current plan for a term of up to 10 years or adopt a new general plan. We've been meeting with the commissions since last summer, following the restructuring. Our focus has been on reviewing the goals and strategies for any needed amendments, deletions, or new additions. We generally wrapped up that process last December, but there's still going to be ongoing dialogue as we finalize the draft. By law, we have to disseminate a copy of the draft plan to you, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and outside agencies no later than 60 days prior to the official start of the notice period for the public hearings. That date is March 7th. And so expect a copy of the draft general plan on March 7th. We will then hold 2 public hearings before the Planning and Zoning Commission at the end of May and early June. By law, those meetings have to be held at separate locations. I believe the last time the hearings were held here and at the police department, but we can switch that up. So the point is to have public hearings at different locations within the community. And then the public hearing before the city council is scheduled for your last meeting in June, which is the 27th. And then from there, we'll work with the city clerk on developing a pamphlet that will go out to the voters, along with other information, working with our public affairs office to educate the community about the draft general plan, and it will be on the November 5th ballot. Any questions on the schedule? Okay, so the topics we covered with the commission are grouped by theme as outlined in the commission handbook. The commission served as the focus group for reviewing the goals and strategies in the plan and making recommendations on the changes. Last June, we pushed out an online survey using the Gauge platform, covering a wide array of subject matter affecting people's views on the community. You have a copy of the full report, which we try to summarize in the following slides. Over the 6 months that was posted, there were over 1,600 visitors and 335 submissions, mostly from Sierra Vista residents. Only 13% of the respondents reported that they lived outside the city limits. Using a sample size calculator to reach a 90% confidence interval with a 5% margin of error, we determined that 271 surveys would be needed. Just keep in mind, this wasn't a random sample. You know, people had to engage on the survey, but we think on par it is representative of the viewpoints of the community on the questions that were asked. With respect to community development, not surprisingly, survey respondents favored suburban-style neighborhoods consisting primarily of detached single-family homes over other housing types. People like the small-town, tight-knit feel of the community that showed up in multiple places throughout the survey. Very strong sentiment there. People also highly value the safety and security Sierra Vista offers. We also learned that the most desired public facility is an indoor recreation facility. And you'll recall in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, there's a line item for either rehabbing the current gym or replacing the gym at the Veterans Memorial Sports Complex. So that project is on our radar. With respect to transportation, the overwhelming sentiment is to concentrate our attention on maintaining existing roads, sidewalks, and pathways. Again, I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anyone. On the environment, one of the more alluring aspects of our community is the natural beauty, open space, and outdoor recreation areas. As you would expect, being in the Southwest, water security is at the top of people's minds, and ensuring that there's an adequate water supply for our current and future population in the community. On the economy, creating an environment supportive of small businesses and facilitating a greater mix of businesses and services was rated as the top economic priority of the city. People would also like to see a walkable downtown. And no surprise again, people like their national chains. A lot of the businesses that showed up in the survey are ones that you've all heard about. So continue to work with the private sector to bring those in where the opportunities arise. Okay, so what we learned so far suggests that we're on the right track with the highest rated comments being in sync with our goals and strategies. We're projected to grow at a modest pace, which is what the community prefers, becoming essentially a better version of what we already are through continuous improvement should be the focus. Our best attributes are the weather, being surrounded by nature and mountain views, the slow pace of life, ease to get around town, low traffic, friendly, generous people are all things that residents love about Sierra Vista. Again, they want us to be at the forefront of water conservation. Being strong on crime rate helps further our atmosphere of safety and trust. Being proactive on economic development, using incentives to support local businesses should continue to be a focus. The multi-use pathways are recognized as one of our top assets. We should continue seeking out federal funds to finish the perimeter loop around the city. We also need to focus on street maintenance and wastewater infrastructure to ensure it remains in good condition, adequate to expect growth patterns. Investing in our parks and open space by adding desired amenities included in the Parks Master Plan should be a key focus. Continuing to work with the private sector to attract new businesses, especially those that appeal to youth and families, to provide new sources of entertainment should also be considered as part of the plan. The public request map is something we developed back in 2009 to help us with our annual action planning for CDBG. It's hosted on our city's website, and to date, including the participation from the survey, we received about 100 comments. Those comments, you could essentially drop a pin on the map and make a request in terms of, a park improvement. We need new street lighting in our neighborhood. There's a drainage problem. I'd like to see a stop sign or a yield sign at this intersection. It's a tool to collect public feedback in an interactive way. And so this is one of the sources of information that we put up along with the general plan survey. So I think it's important to gain some perspective on our current and projected growth patterns, just to get a sense as to what we can expect in terms of anticipated growth. You're all familiar with the community. I think you have a good sense as to the existing land use pattern. The section of the community west of State Route 90 and 92, south of the bypass, is primarily built out with some scattered sites available for infill development. Do you have any guesses on what percentage of the city boundary is owned under public ownership?
30%.
30%.
Hold on, next slide.
90%. So our city, we're a geographically large city, 150 square miles. 90% of the city is under public ownership. 82% of that is federal, managed by BLM or the Department of Defense. 13% is state land, and the remaining 2% is municipal or county government or school facilities. So 13% is in the private sector. That equates to about 13 square miles. So I thought that was interesting information.
Yes.
That is. Did not know that.
Okay, so the city's grown with every census, but it's been choppy. You see the large spike in the 1970s that coincided with the annexation of Fort Huachuca. The growth continued into the 1980s, kind of flattened out in the 90s, and then took off again in the early 2000s, post 9/11. And then there was kind of a halt that coincided with the sequestration in 2013. We were largely able to recover those losses by the end of the decade, ending up with a 3.2% overall change in population between 2010 and 2020. In terms of our projected population, this comes from our state demographer. We're projected to grow by about 8,000 people through the planning horizon of 2040. That represents about an 8% change, or I guess a 6% change, 0.25% annually, or about 117 people. So it's a drop from our previous general plan, which had a 1% growth rate. Compared to the county, we're going to grow at a slightly faster rate. They're projected to grow by about 4.2%. And the methodology the state uses is the age cohort method, which looks at birth rates and in-migration minus death rates and out-migration to come up with our, of course, this could be influenced a lot by federal spending, which is hard to project. But for now, for planning purposes, we're going to go with the best available data, which is the state demographer. Our permit history over the last 40 years, correlates with our population growth. During the 1980s and the early 2000s, we were issuing permits between 500 and 1,000 permits per year, well above our median average of 244 permits per year. Since the general plan was adopted, over the last 10 years, we issued just under 1,000 permits. 70% of those were for detached single-family homes. 24% were for manufactured units, and that largely coincides with the redevelopment of the manufactured home parks in town. And 6% were for multifamily units, which was the second phase of Casa del Sol, which is currently under construction. No other multifamily permits were issued during that time frame. So the median average is about 85 permits per year. If you look at the mean, it would be 98 permits per year. In terms of our growth areas, again, the southeast quadrant of the city is going to be the focus for new growth going into the future. About 2,200 acres is covered under two specific plans, Tribute and Ventana de Flores. You recently approved the final subdivision plat for Buffalo Soldier Ranch. I think that was 349 lots. That was going to be developed over 5 years in 5 phases between 5 and 10 years. So that will contribute towards the growth. And then there are also 2 tracts of state land. And again, private development follows the path of least resistance. Those tracts of lands are difficult to develop due to the unique requirements of the state, going to auction to the highest and best bidder, and that's why they've been skipped over in the past. But they still represent opportunities for commercial and residential growth going into the future. You're all familiar with Tribute. Presents commercial and residential growth opportunities. The residential offers everything from low-density, large lot, single-family to attached housing types, with commercial along the front. Its status remains a little uncertain, given Kessel and Cook's announcement. However, it still represents a growth opportunity. Still on the books, represents a growth opportunity going forward. This chart shows how that acreage is allocated among the various use types, with the highest percentage being set aside for medium-density residential uses, which is consistent with the Independence Plat that you recently approved, which is 376 lots. That project is the most likely project on the horizon following the school construction, and could absorb a lot of our projected growth together with the Buffalo Soldier Ranch project. Here's another one southeast of Golden Acres. It was adopted back in 2007, named Ventana de Flores, 335 acres with a target dwelling unit count of 1,480 homes. Again, a mix of lot sizes from 3,500 square feet to 8,000 square feet. And this is another project that will likely not move until there's a change in ownership. Over the last decade, we've been principally concerned with community development and redevelopment, which is about the process of getting better, versus growth management, which is about the process of getting bigger. Towards that end, the city has established kind of focus areas for revitalization, including the urban infill incentive districts that cover the West End and Cloud 9. The redevelopment area, which is north and south of Fry, west of Fifth Street, as well as the low-income neighborhoods that qualify for community development block grant investments. We're going to continue to work with the private sector to try to stimulate investment within those areas to strengthen those neighborhoods and the West End. You know, you can learn a lot by what's been done before, and so we did a deep dive in terms of all the plans and studies that have been considered over the years, and it's surprising which comments kind of repeat over the decades, and you know what's left to still work on. And you know, I just want to assure you that we are looking at all the plans and studies and figuring out what's still relevant today and incorporating those into our general planning efforts. I stumbled across a resolution from 1958 regarding the abatement of the Minute Grill building. I assume that was on the West End, ordering its demolition. So we've been active on code enforcement since 1958. And I think that's our posture and strong stance on code enforcement and growth management planning is reflected in the quality of the community that we all enjoy. So that was interesting. We are also looking at our current future land use map and making adjustments to be consistent with our zoning designations. There are about 85 sites that the public can look at. Kind of shows the current and proposed land use changes. And again, we saw some discrepancies between the land use map and our zoning district that we need to clean up. In no case are we downplanning any properties that could result in some sort of takings claim. For the most part, there are increases in density, again, to be consistent with the zoning district on the property. And we're also looking at public sites like Fab Avenue property, which has a commercial designation that's been identified as a future park site, and we'll be changing that to public, just as an example. We're also going to try to make the general plan a little more straightforward and easier to read, using graphics and maps to kind of illustrate concepts, removing jargon where we can, just to make it a little more reader-friendly. Working with, again, our public affairs office and others to just kind of streamline the plan and establish context for the goals and strategies, kind of like what's leading up to some of the decisions that are being made in terms of future direction that we're seeking to pursue. What are those trends that are kind of impacting that decision making? So in terms of next step, our focus over the next couple weeks is just going to be, finishing up our draft of the general plan and then disseminating it out to the required agencies under the state law and putting it up on our website, and then continuing the dialogue with the commissions, make sure that everything is still in sync with what their views and expectations are on the goals and strategies, and then just checking each of the boxes to make sure that all the statutory requirements are met, so we have a perfect process. And then going through the steps to schedule and publicize the public hearings to maximize the opportunity for input. And that's all I have for you this afternoon. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions, discussions?
Some comments.
Yes, sir. Most definitely. Sure.
Thank you for putting this together. First of all, the numbers, I look at our city of 45,000, I see 134 people here. The numbers, I don't know what our number to hit was. You mentioned it, like, to get a good,
Well,
good.
Random sample size is 271 for a 90% confidence, 5% margin of error. It seems small, but we did spend some money advertising the survey through various media channels. It's always a challenge with general surveys versus specific topics like, a park or a particular issue that's affecting a neighborhood specifically, and it's more short range. But I can assure you that, we pushed this out pretty hard, and we're hoping for a greater response, but we're happy with what we got in terms of being a close to representative view. I mean, if there are things that you think are not quite in sync with what your views are based on your constituency, conversations with your constituents, we'd be interested in learning, you know, where you think we need to maybe reevaluate in terms of the sentiment that was expressed.
I mean, I think.
I mean, it seemed pretty on target, being here for 10 years
Yeah.
and not only this, but working through the focus groups and the commissions and, you know, being actively engaged in and across the community. Nothing really
pretty
jumped
good.
off as being surprising to me. I don't know if
No, not
that was the case
surprising.
for you.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty. I mean, I agree. The sentiment that I've just from talking to people out in the community, for the most part, it's pretty on. I mean, you can look at the demographic of people that answered the survey, the age group that really did, and the ones that didn't at all. So, I mean, I would love to see more of that as well. And I know once this document gets out, people will then want to comment and say, "Well, I didn't know about it," or "What about this? What about that?" So, obviously, well, maybe we'll get some more feedback from that. But I was kind of disappointed in the numbers. I know you guys pushed. I know everybody pushed it hard. We even tried to give out a little flyers when we went out, talked to people, and
Yeah.
it is a challenge in our community. Is where do you want? I ask this everybody I meet. How do you get your news? Where do you get your information from? And it varies, but for the most part, I think social media is the most active one. It seems like of all ages. So, and I know it was pushed out there, but you can only do so much. And if people don't want to respond, then that's pretty much on them. But yes, good. I liked it a lot. I had a few. What I have questions. Just your point of view, kind of from you and Tony in this thing. So when it comes to like the things we hear about all the time, right? Economic vitality, right? We've had these conversations in your offices before. Just me asking like, so why aren't they coming, right? What is it? All the things that you've tried, your offices have tried, and when you reach out to them and say, hey, look, here's our community, here's what we can offer. What is the biggest pushback we get besides, is it our numbers? When it comes to places like in your slide, like Sprouts, Costco, right? All those things like that.
Well, it's rooftops, household incomes, and traffic counts are those, typically weigh heavly in the site location criteria. I mean, Tony can elaborate, but
And is this
There-
more for the public's education when it comes to these topics? Like we talk about it a lot, but I want to make sure the word gets out there for them, as much as possible. Here's what the offices here are doing, the staff is doing, and here's the response we're getting from places like that. It's not up to us to say, I haven't found anything that says we've ever said no to anything like this.
that's
Right,
right.
but that is a sentiment out there. So I'm trying to dispel that as much as possible, that we are not in the business of telling people like this not to come to our city. Right, that is the exact opposite of what I've been trying to do, and I know everybody up here has been trying to do since they've been on council. So what, in your professional opinion, your professional interactions with these companies, what is the biggest pushback?
Well, in a lot of cases, we're not having those interactions because we're ruled out based on our location in the state. And
Okay,
again,
so that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
why are we ruled out?
right. I mean, I can't think of a good example where they turned away. I mean, I get Fridays. It came down to construction costs. Okay, is what we were told.
Right.
So that's nothing we have control over. That those are private sector influences
Right.
that impact decision making. But my understanding from Tony, we're not going after retailers. We're going after employment generating uses. And so we're welcoming. We'll roll out the red carpet when the interest does come forward. But we're not proactively seeking out the Red Lobster, I mean, he's probably gone down rabbit holes on Red Lobster in terms of why they're not coming to the community, but do you want to expand on that? Or?
If you want me to jump in.
Thank you.
So, Mayor and Council, Councilmember Rodriguez. So, a couple things real quick. One, Matt's 100% right. The numbers and the population that a company looks at, they're also looking at psychographic data. So, if you don't know, every one of us has been binned in a different category. I guess my wife and I would be in the empty nesters, we do our thing. You've got baby boomers and the like. We can look at every company, and actually that's what Placer gives us some options to look at. So I can look at any retailer, any store, any big box, and get an answer and response. So their companies are actively looking to make sure that the population meets their target, the type of customer that they're looking at. So they are actively doing that. That's where you get things like, even tropical smoothie. I mean, you take even the smallest elements of this as they look to expand across. So they're actively looking at our community. But to answer your question, Councilman Rodriguez, over the 6.5 years I've been here, the border in perceptions becomes an issue. Another one that has come up is water. And that was very early on when we started. There was a retail broker. That's all they did. It's when Mike Klein and I were out. So Mr. Klein and I were up. They looked us coldly in the eye and said, you got to get your water issue solved. Perception, but that was the perception in Phoenix. So all of those pieces and elements, but I would offer, again, the population and the match into that specific business. The data sets, and you and I, we've seen some pretty amazing data on the Intel side from our previous lives. They have exactly the same thing. And if you look at someone like a Chick-fil-A, which is very popular, they do not fail. And there's a reason for that. They know their company, they know their target, they pick a very specific location. We've actually partnered with a citizen who went through the process because they picked the person and put them in there. I can look at, and I've looked at our grocery stores. Our Fry's is in the top 5 from a traffic count perspective. Safeway is a little bit lower than that. Again, those are things that I can kind of pull out of Placer kind of as we go along. I've also looked at leakage reports. Where are citizens leaving within, 80 or 90 miles? And I can look at where they're going. Costco's, casinos, and some other stores along the way. What I would offer to you is we're actually shopping across Cochise County. So Cochise County residents are coming in, and we're actually shopping at other locations. They're putting another gas station in Benson, if you've seen the Maverick. There's a reason for that. I can tell you how many Sierra Vista residents stop there. So again, to me, each company is a little different. Some are more public, some are extremely private in their selection process. But it truly is a population issue. One point I will make, and I've made it with Placer and some of the other vendors that we've talked about, no one, and I say again, no one is capturing our Sonora brothers and sisters when they come up. And there's a couple of reasons for that, because they're doing most of the tracking on the Placer side through your telephone. So it's U.S. government, U.S. rules. We've seen the cookie debate and some of those other things that have shown up. They have not made the decision to go in and follow those policies with Mexico. I think the first group that can pull that one off will make a killing amongst the community, because you can see the migration and the flow and where those residents are going. You know, we've looked at license plates and some of the other stuff, but again, those are all the elements that go into all of their selection process. So to make your point, I've been here 6.5 years. We've never turned anyone down. We've cold called people. I'll give you one. We cold call Main Event up in Tucson. I remember the conversation because it was like, how big are you? And they politely laughed and, commented and said, we go into a 1 million person metro. So a Dave & Buster's 1 million person metro. You look at Top Golf. We do have residents that go there. I can show you. Top Golf, 1 million person metro. You look at where they've positioned the Costco's. The Costco's are on the south side. If you look at the 2 southern Costco's in Tucson, you look at their trade area. Trade area includes Sierra Vista. So, I mean, there's some great data and those types of things. So it's not that we don't want them. I mean, clearly, my wife has her own desires too, from a shopping perspective. And we've worked with all of them. And some of the names you've heard, we've had direct interaction. Some of them we have not. But that's kind of where we've been positioning ourselves. And as Matt said, we're not actively looking for those. We've really been trying to work the primary job piece, which will drive the population. I mean, those are the decisions like with Allo Fiber tomorrow, 50 plus jobs, Black Star Orbital jobs, because those things provide primary jobs that are outside of Fort Huachuca. And the last thing I'll comment to you is a lot of the folks don't understand our market because of the driving force of the Department of Defense and because of where Fort Huachuca positions itself. So the good news is I've told that story 100 and 150 times, but we can go through that process to make sure they understand. They understand that we've got 10,000 plus students that flow. We've got Department of the Army civilians and contractors with good paying jobs. We've got our soldiers and our families both on and off the installation. So we've had to do a lot of that because the data doesn't necessarily reflect, nor can they lift our community to, I'll use it, Prescott Valley. It doesn't match when you look at Sierra Vista and really the economic drivers that are underneath it. But we've spent a lot of time on that, and we will continue to do that. And I think I said I was going to close. But the last piece I will close is I've been using the Placer data to try to drive people to see, depending on what they come to the community with, what their competitors are doing and what those folks are in, so that we've got a shot. But really, I think the cold hard issue is going to be at the very end of it. It comes down to the population.
All right. And then follow up with that is just the same thing for the permits, multi-family permits that have not been pulled in 10 years. The last one is a senior living facility that's expanding. Does that just speak to our demographics, to our population currently? And do you think, obviously with the growth of jobs coming up, that will be a change? We have, some land for sale around town, but it seems like no investors are coming to look at it.
I think there's two things to that. One, I think it goes to the other issue, and if you look at the economic development framework, the issue that they don't know we're here. When you've got a hot market in the valley where the world is pretty known, and you've seen what's going on in Pinal and Pima County, it's much easier to go where you know. And that may even be where Castle and Cook made the decision to go to Bakersfield, quite frankly. I'm not going to speak on there, but that's what I've been told. So first, I think you've got an awareness issue of what's going on in our community. The second element to that is the perceived piece, and we don't have to beat that drum. We know where that's going to go. But really, it's going to go to the core jobs that are going to drive a core population. Unless you choose to do something like an active over 55 retirement community, like they've done in the West Valley or Tempe, and some of those other ones, it's really going to come down to do the jobs in the community, whether they're created for the Fort, off the Fort, or separate, do they drive more people here to bring their families? And then I believe the home or the builders, the developers will follow.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there other questions, comments?
Just on the last slide.
Yes, sir.
Just this last, I like this. I just like a rough draft, or kind of like, because I know it's like there's a lot of stuff on there, but I didn't see any mention of the word veteran on there at all. We're a very, very veteran strong community.
Of course,
I'd love to see that in there.
it will be.
I didn't see the Humber Capital mentioned. Buffalo Soldiers are in there. We have to give them love for sure. Birding, things like that. I didn't see that in there. So I definitely would think. I would recommend maybe putting those things in there, because that's a lot of things people enjoy out here.
Sure.
And that stand for out here. We have a lot of veterans out here. So I'd love to see at least that word in there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all your effort and hard work. I know not just you, like everybody. Because you do have to interact with the commissions and bring forth all of these different things that we're looking at, and there's a lot. And I'm not just grateful to staff, but all the thousands of people, actually over 1,000 people, you can say that number right now, that took the time to give us feedback that we desperately needed to do a good job on this. So I'm super grateful for that. And I love the suggestion of cleaning up removing the jargon and making it more user-friendly, I guess. And I love that suggestion. I'm going to say this out loud in case I forget in the future. When we submit our, and maybe this is for Victoria, when we submit our summary for NLC, when we go to the conference and they announce us, we have nothing about being the Hummingbird capital, and there's little things, we have to update that, but I'm glad that's going to be included in the new version of the general plan. And whoever put the slides together did a lovely job. I was looking forward to this presentation, and you guys did a good job. Thank you.
Here's another trivia question. Any guesses on what percentage of the population in Sierra Vista is a veteran?
I feel like we know this.
70%.
70.
Yeah.
Would be
20%, 1 in 5, which is much higher than the statewide average. So, yeah.
Good.
1 in 5. Yeah, I love the fun facts too that you put away.
Yeah.
We should make a video about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Definitely.
yeah.
Any more questions, comments for Mr. Lofton? Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate
Yeah, my
it.
pleasure, and there'll be more you'll be confronted with in the coming weeks.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. And now we will go to item number B, Youth Commission presentation. Please, little Sophia. Almost graduating.
I know.
Almost. And where do you plan on going?
Arizona State
That's
University.
what I'm talking about.
Works
Yeah.
up.
I just wanted to mention that. She mentioned it.
Harvard of the West.
And what are you planning on majoring in?
Environmental engineering and then minoring in law.
Outstanding.
Well, it won't let me in.
That's okay. I have fun.
Okay.
Caps lock is real. Caps lock is on.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you.
I like,
That makes a difference, huh?
and she spoke recently at that event. It was a clubhouse. Were you speaking in front of the? Yeah.
Now you
did
locked
a-
yourself out. Oh.
You did a great
I'll knock
job.
myself out.
That's okay. Good evening, City Council. My name is Sophia Rosa. I am the president of the Youth Council of Sierra Vista, and I am also a senior at Buena High School. So today I have some good news. I will be updating you on everything that the Sierra Vista Youth Council membership has been doing. So, in 2023, we were able to do a coat drive for the homeless, and we did it in January and February because it is stated that those are the coldest months in Sierra Vista. We were able to collect over 100 coats, and we donated them to the Good Neighbors Alliance and the Salvation Army. And then also in 2023, we did a roadside cleanup on Highway 90 where we were able to pick up trash and make our community beautiful once again, which it's always beautiful, but it just looked better. And then we also were in the Youth Arts Festival where we made recyclable dog toys out of used t-shirts for children in the community to use. Now, for our 2024 goals of this year. In 2024, we were able to go to the NLC, Arizona League of Cities in Tucson, where we were able to represent Sierra Vista youth and Sierra Vista as a town. We gave out little hummingbird stickers, and a lot of kids from Maricopa County were excited to know that we're the Hummingbird State. Besides, they were like, "We're Sierra Vista. We're the Hummingbird State. Now you guys know." I mean, county. We are also planning to do a youth car show that will be held in April. It will be intertwined with the Cars for Kids, and we'll be able to show off used cars, because everybody likes a nice car, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Youth will be able to show off their tires, stereos, and paint jobs, and will be judged on those three things. We are also planning on doing a youth job fair where Sierra Vista youth will be able to learn how to interview and participate in interviewing and talking to employers. Like last year, we will also participate in the Youth Art Festival. We also have ideas for a mobile drive-in movie for families and teens in the community, just so it can make it more fun. We are also in the works of raising money for a roller skating event. In March, 3 out of 4 of our commissioners will be traveling to Washington, D.C. to represent Sierra Vista and Sierra Vista youth. We are also planning a youth synopsis where we will create a program that will equip youth with confidence and inspiration to help them feel empowered and have success and thrive for the future. With all these fun things we're planning to do, we are going to need some help. We are doing fundraising for our events that we are wanting to do, which is good. Our youth commission is open to all youth, 8th grade through 12th grade. So my time is about to expire. You can meet virtually or in person. We plan more community engagement events. All ages can participate in our community projects. We like to partner with local organizations, and we like to ensure that youth's voice is heard and understood. Thank you guys so much for hearing about me. Bye.
Any questions, comments for, always call you little Sophia Rosa.
Thank you very much, Sophia. Most of our youth commission is at school right now or in after-school projects, practices, or work. So she's holding it down for everybody that couldn't be here. So I appreciate you coming out here and speaking. I know you guys wanted to do this for a while, so I'm glad we were able to get you on the schedule to talk about everything that you've done and want to do. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for letting me speak.
If you do know, your youth car show is in collaboration with what other car show?
Cars for Kids.
The Cars for
Cars for
Kids.
Kids.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll get a lot of youth interaction from that event. And we'll get our name out and our word out more. So maybe more youth would like to join. We just recently started up again in 2022, and we've just been growing since then.
How many do you have online on Sundays, usually?
We have 4, enough for a commission,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
we're looking to gain more throughout the year.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good job for all you do. I got to hear you speak last week. I was very impressed, and I still am. And I want to thank you and the rest of the commission for all the fundraising you've been doing. The coat drive, roadside cleanup, the involvement with the Youth Arts Festival, because that does need a lot more hands-on supervision for the littles. So thank you for that, and we're definitely going to miss you after you graduate. But it sounds like you're already lining up replacements, so I appreciate that.
Yes, of
Keeping it
course.
active. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. I'll definitely come back to Sierra Vista after I graduate college.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Even though she's
Any
a
other
Sun
questions?
Devil. Mm.
Yeah, she's a Sun Devil, definitely.
That.
All right.
Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
We go to item number C, recent reports on any recent trips, meetings, or future meetings. Yes, sir.
I'm a little off topic here, but going back to Matt's general plan here, it was interesting to see the general comments from the guest book. There were so many that wanted the recycling center. And I'm saying to myself, well, that kind of fits in with people not understanding how recycling actually works. Additionally, a lot of the requests for a Red Lobster and a Costco, those are totally unrealistic. I mean, you have to not really understand how things work if those are the types of things you think our city can generate. We've got a number of challenges here. First of all, nobody knows where we're at. We're off I-10. That's all people know. Also the demographics. And as Tony pointed out, which I thought was quite interesting, these rating organizations, they don't take into consideration the cross-border traffic that we can possibly generate here in Sierra Vista. So as Tony pointed out, once they realize that, they're going to make a lot of money. So those are just my general comments. And, I don't know how we're going to work on the recycling issue, because there were a lot of comments about recycling. And that's part of the commission that I'm, not chairing, but liaison with. And so we're going to have to come up with something. I did notice on the city's website that there is kind of a recycling guideline, that if you want to get rid of paint, you can go here. If you want to get rid of this, you can go there. So I think once the commission sits down and realizes what we already have on the website, maybe we can enhance that to make people more aware that if they do want to recycle aluminum cans, the animal shelter will gladly take them. So just my comment, Mayor. Sorry I'm off topic.
No problem. Mr. Johnson can do anything. We're just glad you're here.
And I'll just add that to the recycling, because there were a lot of recycling center we did try the drop-off centers for recycling, and that was not, very few people actually, and Sharon probably could remember better, but we did give that a good 6 months, maybe more, I don't know. But it was attempted. We did try to meet them there.
Any other questions? Recent trips? All right. Go to item number D, future discussion items. Miss Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Still tracking 2 items for next month. I shared it last time, but we're scheduling your mid-year financial review in March and also a review of the Roadrunner Park design concepts. So those are coming up next month.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Have we had any more feedback on the municipal court? I know that you were looking at someone to do the study on that.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Johnson, the RFP was reposted, I believe, last week, and I'll talk to you afterwards about how we changed the RFP.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments? Final? There'll be no meeting on Thursday. With that, we are adjourned.